In today's video, we're going to be discussing the downswing, and I'm going to talk you through how to shallow the golf club correctly in your transition movement. You need to check this video out. Welcome back to the TruGolf Academy. You've joined me, Jon Watts, today in my back garden. Hope you guys are keeping safe from the coronavirus. That's why I'm out here filming these videos rather than out on the golf course. So if you haven't seen one of these before, I've been filming a lot recently, all regarding how to practice at home, covering a number of different areas. And today we're going to be discussing the downswing, a transition movement. So I've done some videos on this, of course, in the past, and it's a question that comes up a lot. So people posting some questions on social media, which is a great way to get in touch. And please do. Your comments, suggestions, questions, etc. are very welcome. My info for my social media is coming along the bottom of the screen right now. And I'm also filming daily content on there, so quick golf videos. So I'm just doing daily stuff on my social media, how you can practice at home, trying to cover all aspects of the game. So shallowing the golf club, what we're really talking about here, well, we're talking about shallowing the shaft. We're talking about the club in the transition movement from the start of the downswing, almost top of the backswing to start the downswing, moving a little bit this way, okay? So closer to the horizontal, rather than what we see with a lot of golfers is that shaft steepening on the way down, moving this way, which of course is starting to throw that club more outside my hands. When we see that, we'll generally pull our arms inwards through impact and we get that out to in path, where for right-handed golfers, they'll generally be pulling the ball to the left, fading, slicing the ball to the right, definitely leaking some power when they're hitting that shot out right to target, and just the opposite movement with a lefty. So shallowing the golf club is what we see with the majority of elite golfers, and there are a few ways to do it, and we could focus on the wrist movement, the elbow movement. I'm just going to focus on what I think is the simplest way to shallow the golf club, and we're going to be talking about the relationship of what the trail hand and arm are doing, so the hand path compared to the club path. And again, that's an area that confuses a lot of people, but our club is moving on a slightly different position to where our hands and arms are. So from the top of the backswing, what we actually need to get that club to fall a little bit more behind us in that transition movement that we really want to see, because it helps. Why do we want to do that? It helps a number of things. Helps create a shallower angle of attack rather than the players coming in from this way, where they'll generally be down too steep unless they try and get out their own way. It helps us move the club on a longer path, so the club actually takes longer to get to the ball, so that we've got more time to accelerate, and it helps us create more of a draw pattern, or at least an in to square to in path, where we could hit very neutral shots from there. But for a lot of amateurs, I would say they're better off perhaps drawing the ball than hitting that weak fade slice that we see with so many people's faults. So what we actually want to see in that transition movement is the hands move a little bit out in front of you for the club to drop behind you. Now, if the arms move too far out away from you, you'll see a real separation here of my trail elbow away from my trail hip. I do want some separation, but I want the trail elbow to move a little bit in front of my trail hip. So my trail side is just the side furthest away from the target. Trail elbow and hand moving a little bit out, a little bit in front of me here. But that's a great delivery position. You can see that club has actually shallowed behind me, okay, which is what I'm really looking to try and see. So my hands are moving on one path to get the club to move on another. We're not looking for a pulling movement with the hands and arms. So I get too many golfers where they're really trying to pull their arms down in the transition, and that causes a number of problems. If we did pull our arms down, we'd get the club trapped behind us, we'd get our trail elbow trapped behind us. So what we tend to see with that style of player is they'll just lose all that angle into impact. They'll lose all that lag and throw it here too early. The other thing they'll tend to do as they pull their arms down is they'll probably lose their posture. They'll probably straighten up. So what we're looking to do is maintain our posture, get our hands moving a little bit out in front of us as the club drops behind us, okay? There's a difference between our arms moving a long way out, here where I'm likely to hit the ball, to them moving a little bit out in front of me. For me, what that feels like is that the hands are being sort of left behind, but as my body pivots, rotates back towards the target, you'll see automatically if my arms are soft, my arms will fall a little bit more in front of me rather than the arms being pulled down. Very different movement. So I want to try and get that feeling of leading the arms up as my body pivots, okay, recenters my hips. My hands are moved a little bit more out. The club has moved a little bit more behind me. So I hope that clears up a little bit of difference between the hand path and the club path. It gives you some ideas of how to shallow the shaft in the transition and why we'd perhaps want to shallow it. It's a movement we see with the majority of elite golfers, and it will definitely help us increase speed, and we get that awareness of the club a lot more rather than throwing the club a long way from our centre. The club has a centre mass, we have a centre mass. If we move the club's centre mass way away from our body, we really lose control of what's happening. So we want to try and feel in the transition movement that I'm leaving my arms up as my body recenters itself. You'll see my hands are moving a little bit in front of me, my club is moving a little bit behind me. And I would just go ahead and rehearse that movement a few times, over-exaggerate that movement. There's no real drills apart from looking at it on camera, on video. But do that movement a few times, even stop at the top. That movement that we're really looking for, our hands moving a little bit out for the club to move a little bit behind us. And it will really help you get that sensation. I just did a nice slow one. That sensation of the club shallowing behind us. So in that transition movement, my body pivots, it recenters itself. My hands are feeling like they're being left up. But of course what's happening as my body recenters and my hands are going out in front of me, my club is shallowing behind me a little bit there. One more of those. Let's put a bit more pace into it. So just try to get that sensation. My body was starting the downswing. My hands were being left behind, not pulling down. That's the big movement we want to get out of here. We're not pulling our hands down. We're feeling like our arms are being left up. In reality, as our body is therefore turning, so recenting itself, our elbow, our wrist are moving a little bit out in front of us. And that's the movement we're really looking for. If that video has helped, give us a thumbs up and do subscribe to my channel to make sure you never miss a video again.